We'll get started here very shortly, and just before we do, just want to remind you, if you do intend to speak, please fill out a public comment card at the front and provide it here to us, and we'll make sure that you're heard. We're ready? Okay. Good evening, everyone. Today is July 15th, 2025. It is 6:21 p.m. We are at the City Hall Council Chambers for the Cape Canaveral City Council regular meeting at 100 Polk Avenue, Cape Canaveral, Florida. I call this meeting to order. And with that, Councilmember Jackson, would you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Davis.
Here.
Councilmember Jackson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Kellum. Here. Mayor Morrison.
Here.
And Councilmember Willis.
Here. All are here. Thank you, council and city staff and the public who's here with us today. And thank you for your patience. A little bit of a delayed start to get going here. We are on item number 4, to approve the agenda as written or with amendments. I do have a couple, or at least one to two changes that I'd like to propose. The first one is that we pull item number 8B, which is titled Sewer Line Extension Agreement for the Grosvenor Hotel LLC, and I take it up at the next meeting. And I'd like to also propose that we add an item, and a reason, some good news, running a little bit behind, is that we could schedule a meeting, probably a special meeting, to review the agreement for the incoming appointed city manager. I spoke with our city attorney, and I believe we'll be ready to go. And I'm not sure if the dates are relevant, or was it August 4th, potentially?
Yeah, Mr. Touchberry is prepared to commence employment with the city, assuming an agreement gets approved on August 4th. So that would require that we have a special meeting between now and then for the approval or consideration and approval of the contract.
That would be the soonest date. Obviously, if it's important, I think we're here. So, council, if we could, as a matter of order, it might be easier to remove and replace that item, 8B, if that's appropriate.
That's fine. You can make that item 8B for action, scheduling a date for a special meeting.
And if it's, okay, yes, I think that's good. So removing the existing 8B item for action and replacing it with schedule the appointed city manager contract agreement. If there are any other changes, that's all I had at this time.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Councilmember Willis and a second by Councilmember Davis to approve the agenda as amended. City Clerk, is there any clarification needed on those changes?
No.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, City Clerk?
Councilmember Willis. I'm sorry, Councilmember Davis. Apologise.
Yes, 4.
Thank you. Councilmember Jackson. 4. Mayor Pro Tem Kellum. 4. Mayor Morrison.
4.
And Councilmember Willis.
4.
Okay. Showing 5-0, approving as amended for item number 4. We are now to item number 5, which we have 4 items here. The first one is 5A, which is a presentation of the 2025 Home Rule Hero Award with the Florida League of Cities. Do we have someone here from the League of Cities? Or, not sure, sometimes, it's okay. This is Councilmember Don Willis is being recognized as a recipient of the 2025 Home Rule Hero Award by the Florida League of Cities for his hard work and advocacy efforts during the 2025 legislative session. I'll provide the summary of the press release. Mr. Don Willis honored with 2025 Home Rule Hero Award. Cape Canaveral officially recognized for advocacy efforts during the 2025 legislative session. The Florida League of Cities, the United Voice for Florida's Municipal Governments, recently recognized Cape Canaveral Councilman Don Willis with a 2025 Home Rule Hero Award for their hard work and advocacy efforts during the 2025 legislative session. Willis worked tirelessly throughout session to promote local voices, making local choices by sharing insights, local data, and real-world examples that helped inform state lawmakers and elevate the voice of Florida cities. Home rule is the ability for a city to address local problems with local solutions with minimal state interference. The Home Rule Hero Award recipients are local government officials, both elected and non-elected, who consistently responded to the League's request to reach out to members of the legislature and help give a local perspective on the issue. Don currently serves on the Space Coast Transportation Planning Organization Governing Board, Metropolitan Planning Organization Advisory Council as an alternate, the Cape Canaveral Local Roads Committee, the Florida Department of Transportation District 5 Central Florida Safety Strategic Steering Committee, the Florida League of Cities Federal Action Strike Team, the Florida League of Cities Education and Training Advisory Committee, and is a member of the Florida League of Cities Transportation and Intergovernmental Relations Mobility and Emergency Management Legislative Committee, East Central Florida Regional Planning Council Board of Directors, where he also serves on the Regional Resilience Collaborative Council Subcommittee and is a member of the Board of Directors for the Space Coast League of Cities. Councilmember Willis, I do have a presentation from a certificate here from the Florida League of Cities. Be an honor to go down and take a photograph, but congratulations. Councilmember Willis, if you'd like to say a few words.
If you don't mind, please. It's been an honor to serve this city. It takes a lot of work, but I'm grateful for the recognition, and I look forward to doing more. So, thank you.
Thank you. The next item that we have is the Parks and Recreational Professionals Day Proclamation I have here with me. I believe we have our director and Molly and I believe John and maybe a few other teams. I'll come down, read the proclamation.
There's that staff I was wondering about. Molly, you could have just pointed them all out earlier. Excellent. That's good to see.
vertically different people.
Well, we can take a couple. I'm going to go ahead and read this now. This is an official proclamation of the City of Cape Canaveral, Florida. Whereas the City of Cape Canaveral recognizes that the field of parks and recreation is a diverse and comprehensive system that improves the social, environmental, and economic health of communities worldwide. And whereas the City of Cape Canaveral exemplifies its commitment to providing park and recreation services through the conservation and maintenance of 27 acres of green space, which includes 10 parks, 4 playgrounds, 2 youth sports fields, numerous athletic courts, and 3 brick and mortar facilities that provide quality of life programs and amenities for all ages. And whereas the skilled work of the Parks and Recreation professionals builds community cohesion and resiliency, connects people with nature and one another, and provides opportunities that promote healthy living, social equity, and environmental sustainability. And whereas the City of Cape Canaveral values and respects its park and recreation professionals for the essential services they provide in the development of programs, hosting events, and ensuring that our parks and recreational spaces are clean, safe, inclusive, welcoming, and ready to use. Now, therefore, I, Wes Morrison, Mayor of the City of Cape Canaveral, Brevard County, Florida, do hereby proclaim July 18th, 2025 as Park and Recreation Professionals Day in the City of Cape Canaveral, hereby recognizing the hard work and dedication of these professionals in service to our community, signed and sealed this 15th day of July 2025. Congratulations.
Okay.
Just a quick thank you to the board, or sorry, I'm used to talking to my board, the council and the mayor and our interim city manager and even Anthony for all the support that he provides to us. But this is important for a couple different reasons. Not only do we work really hard to improve the quality of life for as many residents and as many lives as we can touch, resident or not, over 1/4 of this department is actually staffed by residents. So they have a vested interest in the community around them to serve and do the best, absolute finest job that they can do. So I'm very grateful to have such an amazing team. One of these days I'll get the maintenance guys to come in, but they come in really, really early, so a 6 o'clock meeting is kind of a hard ask. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We are now on to item number 5C, which is an applicant interview for the Board of Adjustment appointment. Mr. Adam Marara, welcome, come forward. Thank you so much. Before you get started, our city attorney is going to ask you a couple of questions.
Hi, good evening. The information in your application is true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, it is.
So I always ask applicants, why do you want to serve on this particular board, the Board of Adjustment? And I believe I've seen you at Board of Adjustment meetings before, so.
Took a personal interest when I had a personal issue with getting adjustments or a variance, if you will, and took an interest in the process because it was a very intensive process. And so it piqued my interest in getting involved. I saw just the need from other citizens in the community to be able to provide insight into those types of boards. So that's why I'm here today.
Thank you. Mayor?
Thank you. Council. Councilmember Willis?
Mr. Marara, thank you for applying and being here, and I'm sure you'll do a very good job. You have a very talented family, and I appreciate your involvement in the community, and that's all I've got to say on that matter, but thank you very much.
I
Councilmember Davis?
I was going to say the same thing, and thank you for coming out, and I think you'll do an asset to our city.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Councilmember Jackson?
Hi, Adam. Thank you so much for stepping up for this board. I think that you would make a great asset for it, having worked with you a little bit before, but also with your unique circumstances and the things that you went through, just trying to get to build up on your property. I think that it gives you a unique perspective when people come in, while you also have the skills to be able to follow our code as closely as possible. So I appreciate your volunteering for this board.
Thank you,
Mayor Pro
Adam.
Tem Kellum?
Thank you, Adam, for being here and volunteering, and your situation gives you the experience you need to be on this board, and your background too. So welcome, and we're glad to have you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
I echo the entire council. We appreciate you. Does not meet often, but when it does, it's significant, as you've experienced firsthand. So thank you for stepping up to take that on. And if, I think there's, right out of the gates, you're going
Yeah, there's a
to
meeting
have
on
the
Thursday.
meetings you're probably well aware of. So thank you again. And if you need anything, this council is here to support. So
All right, appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we are on item 5D, which is an exciting one, some new city staff introductions. I'll let our interim city manager take it from here.
Thank you, Mayor. And these folks that I'll introduce are filling vacancies. These aren't additional being added to our staff above and beyond our count. I thought you'd appreciate that, Councilmember Jackson.
I appreciate that, John.
So,
Thank
but
you.
very excited, though. Amanda Bishop is here. Our deputy city clerk came all the way from California. So, Amanda, welcome. Marcy King, plant operator. Now, these folks might not be here, but if they are here, Marcy, welcome. I'm glad you're part of the team. Taylor White, our new lab technician. She's not here. Okay, welcome to Taylor. And then Dave Hill, utility mechanic, public works services. Welcome, everybody. And I think we got some really good employees here. Mayor.
Yes, thank you. Very nice to meet you all. Welcome to the city of Cape Canaveral. We're excited to be a part of the team. I love that we do that. Thank you. And with it, we are now we've concluded item number 5, all the presentations and interviews, and we are on to the public participation, item number 6. I've got a few cards up here. First one I have here is Dr. Shannon Roberts.
Thank you so much. This is a little bit of a follow-on from the budget workshop, so I did want to thank you all for that. And also just to mention, it gets to some of the things that Councilmember Kellum and Councilmember Jackson raised, and that's dealing with what I would call a budget-friendly for the residents overview, because some of the things like the grants that Mickey was mentioning, as well as the trend analysis and also the projects. You may remember the strategic planning work that you all have been so instrumental in doing. And the goal was to have the strategic planning for projects aligned with the budget for that coming year. And so this is what worries me. I'm getting, at least as one resident, I'm getting lost about the analysis and sort of the upfront overview information for residents, so we could quickly understand in every way the way the resources are generated, the sources of them from the hotels, the residences, other businesses, investors. You know, there's a way in which that pie is kind of easily portrayed to the residents. So I would recommend that we might have what we might call a one-page overview that would be resident-friendly to give the overview of the budget that we're looking at. Because right now, I must admit, I get a bit confused as to where things are relative to what we're doing with our money. Also, with the percentage of increase for our employees, to me, they're our greatest resource. And if the average is an average increase of 3% nationally, I would recommend that we advocate that for our employees. I really hate for us to shortchange them in our resources that are allocated for the city. We're as strong as our employees, in my opinion, and that I would hope that they would be given a priority in the budget. As it relates to more immediate things, one of the goals for the Vision project was to not have a parking lot. When we bought United Agencies building, we got a parking lot on A1A. And this goes back to the point I was raising at the workshop, which is to understand where we are with all the money that we spent in the engineering project with the proposal there, which to me was meeting stormwater goals as well as the aesthetics and purpose-filled use of that land. And I just am so concerned that that's getting lost in the process. I probably missed that discussion as to why it's been put on the back burner, but I would recommend that we address that again, because we've got a parking lot right now in A1A. And that's what I know we didn't not want to have when we took that building down. So that is pretty much it. But thank you so much for your leadership and contributions to the city, and you're providing opportunities for us to participate like this.
Thank you. John Benton?
Okay, I'm still waiting for my code reduction hearing. And then on the news clipping here, when you fired Morley, it says here that you fired him for being selective on city codes, delayed lien filings, and didn't take care of, had problematic employees and he wouldn't take care of them. You guys are the problem, because I'm here asking for my code reduction hearing, and none of you have answered. You fired them for something that you guys didn't do. What's the problem? You don't like my attitude or something? Well, I didn't like walking into a room having 7 people believe Kevin Mann after I testified I didn't live there, laughing and mocking and referring to me as a cookie that crumbled. Mary Russell was a chairwoman that night. She was up there laughing, thought it was funny. That's inhumane, laughing at somebody homeless. If the cops went up to homeless people and started laughing at them and calling them cookie and recorded it, they would be fired. You fired Mr. Green. You gave him $100,000 to leave with no cause. But you fired Morley. You should have fired them both at the time when it happened. You fired all the board members. You didn't fire Dickey, did you? Signed a paper for a clause that he wouldn't disparage you guys. He helped me. He told me Kevin Mann's in the email that all you guys were on it. He sent it to you too. That Kevin Mann said his son didn't live in there, but it said it on a sex offender site he lived in there, and that he said his son was a security guard up there. He should have been in there. He should have been in that room testifying against me. You don't send a pedophile and a pedophile groomer, his father and his mother, in there to testify against me when I was in that warehouse coming out on a Jew school in Winter Park. I did it in '93, and 20 years later, I'm still doing it. You put them in jail. They don't stop. Some of them do. You got to do something about it. You guys caused the problem by not giving. I've been to 80 of these meetings. If the people don't want me, if there's people here who don't want me in here, they should be asking you, why don't you give John a code reduction hearing? Why wasn't he allowed to defend himself? Where in the world has that ever happened? She's got to be the worst lawyer in the world. There's always that lawyer out there that's the worst one in the world, and somebody's going to hire her tomorrow, and that was Destin, Florida. You owe me a code reduction hearing.
That is all the cards that I have. If anyone else intended to speak, please come forward? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public participation. Thank you all for participating in that. We are now on to the consent agenda, item number 7, which is 2 sets of minutes, the June 11th, 2025 special meeting and the June 17th, 2025 regular meeting.
I'll make a motion that we accept the consent agenda.
A second.
Got a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Kellum and a second by Councilmember Willis. Any further discussion? Seeing none, City Clerk?
Councilmember Davis.
4.
Councilmember Jackson. 4. Mayor Pro Tem Kellum.
4.
Mayor Morrison.
4.
And Councilmember Willis.
4.
Thank you. Consent agenda item 7 passes 5-0. Now, item number 8. We have 3 items here, 8A, B, and C. We did amend one. The first one is 8A, Resolution 2025-08, the Board of Adjustment member appointment. So we just interviewed Mr. Marara. At this time, we do need to vote and adopt a resolution to formally appoint him. And I do have one thing I saw. It's nothing substantial, but on attachment 1, the actual resolution, here, page 1 of 2, towards the bottom, it says adopted at regular meeting of the City Council on the 17th day of July. That might just be a simple error, unless that was, that you got it. That was my only thing, and I think if that small change could be made, if there's not anything else. Council?
I make a motion to adopt the resolution.
I'll second.
You got a motion by Councilmember Willis and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Kellum. Any further discussion? Seeing none, City Clerk?
To adopt the resolution as corrected.
As amended, yes.
Thank you.
Yes. I'll restate. Got a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Kellum and a second by Councilmember Willis to adopt the resolution as amended. City Clerk?
Councilmember Davis.
4.
Councilmember Jackson. 4. Mayor Pro Tem Kellum.
4.
Mayor Morrison.
4.
And Councilmember Willis.
4.
Thank you.
Item passes 5-0. Item 8A, Resolution 2025-08. The next one is item 8B. We removed the existing during the amendment of the meeting and replaced it with schedule a meeting with the city manager. So this would be, I think, a discussion, perhaps looking at the calendars and trying to recommend a couple of options at least. The earliest date that the appointed city manager could start would be August 4th, and a meeting that week prior, which I think is in 10 days from today, that week of the 25th, 21st to the 25th next
Actually,
week.
the 28th through the
Okay.
4th, because Mr. Touchberry's on vacation the next week or the previous week. So any meeting that the council can schedule from July 28th through the 4th, somewhere in there.
So the week of Monday, July 28th, it ends on a Friday, August 1st. Mr. Interim City Manager, if there is a date that's best for the supporting staff who need to be here, I think that's something to think about as well. We're going to review, I believe the item is to review the agreement. And we would obviously vote on that agreement and give time for notice and all the other things. So as we're talking through dates, if that week's an issue, please let us know. And council, does that, I just looked, I don't see any issue on my calendar. Yes, Mayor Pro Tem Kellum.
I will be on vacation till the 31st. I could call in or, attend remotely, but.
Okay.
And I have a second calendar I have to consult.
Okay.
I have too many calendars.
I have to look into the audience and see what I'm supposed to do, so.
Only day I could not do is the 30th.
Okay.
When is he gonna be back from his vacation?
So we're looking at the week of July 28th through August 1st. That's the week?
Correct.
For those interested in the audience,
That's under the scenario as, that's the soonest he would be able to start. If we, as an example, we're not able to meet until the following week, I think we could just delay the start, or,
And it would be the 11th.
so there needs to be a week.
Well, the 11th is the Monday, right?
Yes.
I've only discussed with him, starting on a Monday. I haven't discussed starting midweek.
Okay, understand. So that week, the 4th through the 8th, what we could do here today is establish maybe a couple of options, and if we need to go home and review. But while we're all together, is that potentially an option? Councilmember Davis, you would rather do the, okay, so what's best for you is, I think you said the 30th is not a good day, but is the 28th, 29th, 31st, and 1st, any of those okay? Okay, I'll make a note of that. That's good for availability. In the event that it's the following week, it sounds like that would be the best for you, Mayor Pro Tem Kellum, or better.
It would be better, like I said, I'd be more than glad to call in or whatever to be part of the meeting.
Okay. Councilmember Jackson, you need to go review your calendar before you're able to.
But I'm fairly flexible, so I can move things around if I need.
Okay. Councilmember Willis, have you received anything from the audience?
I have observed the calendars, and either week would be fine.
Okay, I'm the same. So how about,
Mayor?
yes, Councilmember Davis.
The 7th.
Okay.
I mean, it sounds like we can get back to the council, but it sounds like everyone could find some availability on the week of the 28th. Is that correct?
With Mayor Pro Tem.
With
remote.
Mayor
Well, she
Pro
really
Tem.
only has one day, though. Are you saying any?
And any time that I need, it's fine.
Okay.
Mayor, the city clerk will not be available the 30th and 31st because she's out of town on training. But she is available the 28th, the 29th, and the 1st of August.
Okay. I think we've, Mr. City Attorney, that was, what do you recommend, knowing that it sounds like the 28th and 29th? Oh, no. Of July. I was in the wrong month, sorry. The Monday, the 28th, July 28th. And the 29th would be the best for our city staff. How about we try to find one of those dates or one of those days that would give 1 week ahead of the start date? I'm thinking Tuesday, the 29th might be, if we had to pick between the two, the best of the two.
The 29th would be
That's the best for
ideal
me, too.
for me.
Okay, and if not the 29th, let's just have a second as a backup plan. I would say after. Is the 1st, August 1st, Friday?
Yes, that would,
That's okay?
so that I'll have the right staff here on the 29th or the 1st of August.
Do we want to do August 1st as a backup if something comes up and we could fall back on? But we try for the 29th?
That's Friday Fest. Not that we can't meet anyway, but
And maybe we could meet a little earlier, unless, 4 p.m. or even between 8 to 5, I think.
I would be good any time of the day.
So yeah, if it's that Friday, I think a little earlier, and I mean, even Tuesday, I think too early though could be an issue, but great. So we've established the 29th, July 29th, which is a Tuesday, and August 1st on that same week, which is a Friday, are two potential dates, with the 29th being the preference.
Perfect.
Great.
All right.
Mayor, on the 29th, is it possible to do it at 5 o'clock? Or do we have to wait till 6?
I'm
5 would
fine
really
with,
be better for, 5? Okay,
I'm okay with 5
o'clock.
p.m.
okay, thank you.
29th?
29th,
That's-
5 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay.
He would be available at 5 on the 29th.
That's excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, how about do we just, if not opposed, I'm seeking consensus here to schedule the 29th at 5 p.m. and our city attorneys confirmed that Mr. Touchberry would be available. And if something comes up, we will go, I think that Friday, 5 p.m. as well, or earlier as a backup. Do we know if that would be an option in the event that?
It would be, I mean, as a backup.
Yes,
I'd have to
just so we
I'd
don't have to go
confirm.
back out and find more dates. We know that if something comes up, I think that would be prudent.
Sounds good.
Okay, do we need a,
Motion to schedule a special meeting
okay,
on one of those, the 29th at 5 p.m. Or as a backup, August 1st at 5 p.m. And then we'll get the proper notices out in the agenda with the draft agreement.
I'll make the motion to schedule the meeting on the 29th as stated by the city attorney.
Second.
Okay, got a motion by Councilmember Jackson and a second by Councilmember Willis. As stated by the city attorney. Any further discussion? Seeing none. City clerk?
Councilmember Davis,
4.
Councilmember Jackson,
4.
Mayor Pro Tem Callum,
4.
Mayor Morrison,
4.
and Councilmember Willis.
4.
All right, passes 5-0. That's excellent. Thank you again, city attorney, for continuing to communicate and work with the appointee, Mr. Touchberry, to make that happen. So looking forward to that.
All right.
Is there any other business that we need to handle on that matter?
No, sir.
Okay. Any further discussion, council? Okay, we replaced that item with, as item 8B, and that concludes our items for action. This time, we are on to the public hearing portion of the meeting. Item 8C, which is a resolution 2025-07, a tentative proposed millage rate adoption for fiscal year 2025-26. The proposed motion is to consider the adopting a tentative proposed millage rate for the levy of ad valorem taxes for fiscal year 2025-26 on all taxable value of taxable property located within the city of Cape Canaveral. We had a workshop prior to this. This is a public hearing item, so council, what I'd like to do is if we don't have any technical questions up front, go to the public, give them an opportunity to speak. We can come back, have any discussion or debates, and then we'll seek a motion. So at this time, any questions technical questions to clarify before we go to the public? Seeing none, this is a public hearing item. If anyone would like to speak, please come forward on Resolution 2025-07 for the tentative proposed millage rate adoption for fiscal year 2025-26. And if anyone intends to speak, would just raise your hand, please. Make sure. Seeing no hands raised, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing, bring it back to the council.
Mr. Mayor, would this be the time that we could schedule another workshop?
Unless the city attorney has an issue,
No, I mean, I would dispense with the agenda item, and then if you want to discuss a workshop, then you can go ahead and do that unless, I mean, I'm assuming you're ready to adopt this resolution.
I've got a question that's related to Mayor Pro Tem is, in the schedule that was provided in the proposed budget on, right here, page 17, it lists today's date, July 15th, 2025, the budget workshop that we had earlier, and then the tentative proposed millage rates established as a part of the 6 p.m. regular meeting. It has a note in bold that says, per truth in millage compliance, the highest intended millage rate must be proposed at this meeting. Any ad valorem tax rates can be lowered from the initial tax rate proposal. However, no tax rate can be increased after this meeting. The deadline for us to approve this, I'm having the scheduled meeting and discussing it with the incoming city manager, I think would be very helpful, and having a chance. I know we could just pass a really high proposed tentative millage rate, but as far as the deadlines go, when do we have to have that submitted? I guess that's the DR 420.
Right. So what we need to do is each year by August 4th, I have to already loaded what we decide on here, what our tentative proposed millage is, into the system. That's the first step. So if council agreed to how this is proposed at 3.9672 this week or prior to, and in this case, I believe 1 August is a Friday, so I have all the way until August 4th, the morning, say of August 4th, to stick in the system which satisfies the states. And I'll put it in earlier than that because council is going to come to some type of conclusion probably today, and whatever that is, then this rate cannot be increased from this date, and then that would go on the notices the Brevard Property Appraisal sent out. But I I have to confirm in the system and certify it. So really, I would say by August 1st, that is a Friday. I'll probably do it a little bit earlier though, because I am actually on vacation on 31 July through 12 August. So I will not be here. But irregardless, what's going to happen here tonight when council approves a tentative proposed millage, that will be the millage I put in there, and then we can move forward. And I will just add this, which will help council. We had a workshop, and I think council spoke of some of its intentions on what they would like to do. And based on what they had said, it doesn't seem like in any manner in that meeting that the millage would be above 3.9672. So with that being said, and council had also said that it wants another workshop, and then of course there'll be a budget hearing at the beginning of September, which allows council then to further, at that point, by the beginning of September, adjust the millage and bring it down if it decides to, or what have you. So basically what I'm saying is based on the discussion that in the workshop we had, if council was to go ahead and just lock in the rate of 3.9672, then that's your point. And then going forward, you would only be voting, or you'd be having workshops and what have you discussing if that's going to come lower, because after tonight, it can't go higher.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem, you were asking about the schedule. I think we're definitely going to tackle that, but I guess that was, should we start this? Can we start it? Is it going to cause an issue, knowing that August 4th, the city manager would not come on until the 11th, I think, the way we've got it. Oh, no, we maintained, so it would be the same.
Yeah, he would come on the 4th.
Okay. What are the implications of us adopting a millage rate, even if it was what it is today? I guess I don't fully understand the trend.
That's your
as far as-
starting, that's your point where that's what you lock in. And then from there, now you could discuss whatever you want up until, your budget hearings on where you want to land. But it just locks in there, and that's what I put in the system because I have to put a tentative proposed millage in the system for the state.
Do we know the intent of why they want a tentative proposed millage?
Yeah, because the millage that's established in the tentative resolution is the proposed millage rate that goes on the notices to taxpayers, to property owners. So they're going to see that that's the tentative proposed. And then I think the tax collector does some calculations about, if it's adopted, what the possible tax consequence is. But at the end of the day, that also serves as the maximum cap. Okay, so when the council adopts the tentative millage and the final millage, the council can't go above what was advertised to the property owners unless you re-advertise to the property owners, right, a higher rate. So this resolution serves two purposes, and that's notice to property owners with the dates, public hearings and so forth, and then you have two more hearings, tentative and final.
So the implications would be that the trim notices that go out would show
3.9.
a tax increase. And I think it's important to state that the resolution before us here has, just give me a second, I want to pull that resolution up. Here we go. I'm referencing section 1, on the first page there. Before us, it says, the total tentative proposed millage for all city operation purposes is 3.9672 mils on the dollar of taxable value for the 2025-26 fiscal year for the city of Cape Canaveral, Florida. The millage represents an increase of 22.1 1.1654% above the rolled back rate of 3.2474 mils. That number is derived from combining the two, library, right?
Right, section 2 and 3. Yeah.
Section, and then it breaks that total number down. So I guess the implication would be that, yes, I don't think I don't, as mayor, do not want to increase, and as council member, every year, this is my 7th year, I've never wanted to do an increase. So I think if we can figure out a way to lower it, residents receiving 22% increase, I might be mistaken, but that might be the largest tax increase using page 80 of the budget book measured over the rollback rate. We reduced taxes by 3.5% last year. The year prior, there was a 7.5% increase. The year prior to that was 3.8. It stayed flat back-to-back years. There was a couple less than 1% decreases prior to that. And then there was this is right before I got on. And honestly, a big reason why I ran, it was a 19% increase, which was the biggest. This one exceeds, and it goes all the way to 2014-15. So in 10 years, the 19% increase was the largest. This would adopt it. And I just want to say to the council, I had no intention that we as a majority voted to decrease taxes last year and then turn around the very next year and make up for it and then some. I mean, it's 3 times the amount in 23-24. So I just weary and reluctant to even send it out on the trim notice. It does not represent my intent, and that's all I want to say about that. So thank you. Mayor Pro Tem, did you have anything else?
No, I just, we got a lot of information tonight from Joey, from Kay, from Don. So I think that we definitely need another budget hearing or budget workshop. So that's why I wanted to make sure we get that scheduled tonight sometime in here. But adopting the millage is, and I cannot see a 22% increase myself, so I can't support that. If we can come up with something else.
Do you want to have a budget workshop before taking action on this item, or take action and then adjust after?
I think Anthony said we have to pick a number tonight.
Oh, no, you have to pick a number by the deadline, because you have to adopt the resolution by the deadline. If you're not comfortable with adopting the resolution tonight, and from what I'm hearing from John, you have additional time, then you have to schedule a meeting to get to a point where you can adopt the resolution. So if you're not comfortable, then, I guess you need to schedule a meeting.
The best meeting would be that the city manager is here, we meet the required deadlines, we don't cause too much pressure, and it's too short of a turnaround time, and so the window and would we have to re-advertise, or could we, as far as, I know this was public hearing item that went through some notice requirements, I think in the past, we've been able to.
No, this is
This
tenant
one-
proposed,
yeah,
this
yeah.
isn't advertised.
This one is not advertised.
No, this
Okay,
is
good
just,
deal.
yeah. Could I add a little perspective to this?
Yes, sir.
So, based on what the attorney's saying, it's right, this has to be done by August 4th, based on the state's requirements, whatever. But now, I just want to remind council that, and I know, Mayor, where you're coming from on the perception of a 22% increase, but if you were to change this tonight, you have to determine what elements of the budget are going to change to get to that number. Like, in other words, you couldn't just say tonight, let's go down to 3.5000, just so that's what the residents, notify the residents. If council did something like that, what you're basically doing is you're putting the onus, well, you're putting on the onus on yourself, because now you have to cut enough things to get down to 3.5. And then moving forward, you have the other workshops and the other hearing, and then if you want to go lower, you could. But there is decisions that have to be made on what you're going to cut to get down to whatever you decide tonight. If you go at 3.9, of course, you know, it says 22%. That sets the thing, but it only could come down, but there are additional meetings. But to come down lower, and correct me if I'm wrong, Anthony, to come down lower, you can't just arbitrarily say, okay, let's come down, Joey, to 3.5 that cuts $700,000 or $600,000 off the budget tonight. Well, us as staff need to know what those cuts are that you want. We need to know going forward what you want to cut. They have to be identified. Otherwise,
Good.
then the onus is put on, otherwise the onus is put on council in the next workshop to somehow determine that based on the number they picked, what gets us to that millage. That's all I got.
Understood. And I think that we're going to be able to do that. The rolled back rate for, or the combined rollback rate is 3.2474. It's that last number right in the section 1. I would be comfortable with adopting that, and I'm fully comfortable with lowering taxes this year. We can do it, and the new city manager, I think, can help, and our finance department, but I can get involved. I do want to state, though, that is, you know, the administrative duties to go in and figure out, we as a council have to vote on approving a budget. We do have to do that. But to go in and do the work and identify exactly what should be cut and some of the things that Councilmember Jackson was pointing out outside the CIP, outside the reserves, not talking about police and fire, I think is an exercise that should be done. And seeing options in the budget would be something that I am going to discuss with the incoming city manager, that we see what does the budget look like at rollback rate? What is a 5% decrease or whatever this council desires? And what is that 5% increase if we could, you know, invest, or maybe it's lower 10%. I'm just using numbers as kind of a 3 options. That's something I've always wanted as a council, to have options. And our finance department in the past has put together some summaries to show some options, but I'm willing to dig in. It's just going to take, I think, easily a half day if we're going to come together and go through and have to figure out why increases are happening in areas. And I'm willing to do that. But I think we need to have a budget that reflects the desire and the will of this council. And I would like to see a tax decrease in the again. The total dollars that came into the city, 6.3 million, a rollback rate is another 6.3 million. And I understand the increases in police and fire, but there are grants potentially out there. There's other fees. We have partners in the community that we can work with. And it's just, for me, I'm speaking as one, I have no desire to show a tax increase at all. We've got a lot of revenue coming into the city, and we've been blessed with windfalls of cash. I mean, millions and millions of, like you said, ARPA money. We didn't know ARPA money was going to come. We don't know, but it came, and so we can't predict the future. That certainly not counting on it, but disasters and the things that I think we had our reserve set aside for, FEMA, slow. and controversial at times, but we've got access to capital with the state revolving funds to handle investments, but our brains are not the ones that can go in and look within a line item and determine. We might think that some line items should actually increase once we learn more. And so I think the finance department needs clear direction, but I would say this, unless there's something in there concerning with police, fire, the reserves, what would we cut? And not CIPs, maybe a few, but that's a tough decision that I don't think this council should have to figure out. Like,
Right. And Mayor, based on your assertions there, I think if you look on my memo at the bottom, basically, if you go down to 3.2474, here's why this budget is presented as such, then that's going to decrease without cutting CIPs or whatever, that's going to decrease our reserves by 2.2 million. Now, even if we cut many of the general fund, not enterprise fund, general fund CIPs, what I'm saying as your interim city manager, as your finance director, and whatever else you want me to do, okay, a little levity helps a little bit. So what I'm saying, Mayor, is I may not be able to find $2 million. That's all I'm saying. And is it
That's
this
understandable.
an administrative thing? I agree that, yes, we're the experts. We will delve in and see administratively. But in the end, of course, council is going to say, well, John, you're not cutting the air conditioner. You know, something like that. So this is it's a tough cookie, but I mean, could we find $2.2 million? I'm telling you that we cannot. Could we find some money? Yes, but I know I can't find $2.2 million. I don't have it. That's all I'm saying. So, and let me ask a question here. Anthony, I'm going to ask you this question. When we look at this, if council said tonight they're concerned about, if they're, all council is, we haven't heard from them, the perception of a 22% increase. And we went over here and I had Joey look at the numbers and they said, well, at least to lock it in, John, we're okay with a 15% increase just to start the process. Then Joey would go in there and say, this is what the impact is on reserves, and then we would work from there. But we need some point to work from. The point I'm making is if we lower it, we need to be prepared on how we get there. And I don't know that because I'd have to.
The city manager, I think, fundamentally might have a different strategic vision. He may not see things the same way as the former, and certainly the time you've helped hold the fort down. But we've made some structural changes under your leadership. I mean, there's been new employees, there's been things that the council has supported. And I think when he has a chance to get in here, he might see some opportunities to cut. And if we reach a point that we can't find it, well, I think I'm willing to accept that reality. But
Yeah, but we do need a number going in, and I do leave the country on July 31st. So, I mean, it would be nice by July 30th for us to work a number. And so that's all.
Thank you. Yes, Councilmember Jackson?
I think we need to have this meeting, sooner rather than later. I think it's good for the city manager to have the input, though, and the new city manager. My concerns with adopting something right now, prior to whenever it's due, is because when we did that last year, every time we talked about it not being that rate and lowering it, it was a big issue. I mean, and that was my first year, but every time we talked about lowering it, literally, we had no money, we're broke, we can't do this, and it was literally $500,000. difference. So it concerns me to adopt it too soon. I do believe we need to have our meeting. I would love for the new city manager to be there because this is going to be his budget to manage and maintain and work within as he leads the city as the new city manager. So, John, what is the drop dead date that you have to have something?
Well, the drop dead date is August 4th.
Okay, and then
But
you leave on the
I will not be here after July 30th. Now, if we had to push it, because the 1st is a Friday and the 4th is a Monday, I mean, I have a finance director, deputy, and finance manager here. I would be able to assist them before they left when they have to update the system. That's not the problem. The problem, though, is getting to the number that council wants to get to in a timely manner so we can put at least the tentative proposed millage out there.
So could we do this? This is just a curiosity question. Could we go ahead and have our meeting where we look at how we whittle this into place? How we whittle it into place. And council work, we have those, that session where we all work together and try to see what we can do. Then with the results of that, have the meeting with the new city manager because we would have come to a conclusion that we think this millage rate is what we may want. And then have one with him to confirm and ask him, does he see any changes? And then Joey could
But that
put it
is a
in.
tight window because you're talking about having his meeting on the 29th of July. That would be an awful lot for, I don't care how good this new city manager is, to come into a new budget. It's kind of unfair for him to look at an entire budget and say, okay, you guys do all this or we direct him. The thing about it is I think what I heard the mayor say is he wants to hold a 20%, initially at least, to his 20% city policy of unobligated reserve. So with that being said, then one working manner of it would be is that this is going to affect the unobligated reserve any which way we slice it. We're going to have to use some unobligated reserve. Is that detrimental to the city? Not, I feel, with my experience, whatever, if we can keep at least 3.2 or 3.3 million in the unobligated reserve, the city's in the same position it's been in prior years, because we're a little bit more healthy in unobligated reserve right now. So I think, and what I'm saying to you, my finance staff, is that gives us a $750,000 if we had to use that reserve to accommodate where council's going to go with the millage, then that's doable without affecting the welfare of the city, I feel. But beyond that, in 747, using 747 right now gets us down to 3.9672. If you want to bring it down more, now you're looking at possibly, as staff, administratively, the way we get there, because we can't do any magic here, is I would be pushing out the air conditioner for this building for another year. That would cut it $325,000. And then I'd begin to look like that. And then we could do more analysis. But I think getting down to rollback of the 3.2, that's a big chunk of change. And that's all I'm saying, so.
Could I say something?
Yes, please.
I want to know what the city manager is going to say too. And he might like to go higher or lower, whatever. We don't, what he's going to do. So why don't we do the 369, whatever the higher number, and then that way we always can go down. Otherwise we can't go up. So at least have the higher number as it is, and then we can go down. And that will solve the problem. And for the point blank.
That will give the city manager an opportunity from the 4th of August all the way through the first budget hearing and also having a workshop to go ahead and see what his perspective is on what else he wants to cut to get down to potentially
And at
rollback.
least get this tires thing and let's do it that way. Because we can drop it off if we have to.
Well, there's two things of that. One is that's a very efficient way to take action right now and end this discussion. But I don't think that it's going to be a good fit with the desires of this council and community to think that the incoming city manager is going to propose an increase. I never say never, but I don't anticipate that. And frankly, the words tentative proposed millage rate going out shows our intent is, I think, off base. I would propose a rollback rate today, and let's make that work. We have to do the resident. I know we break down per house, and I appreciate that. We showed a range from 100,000 to $500,000. There's not a lot of $100,000 homes in Cape Canaveral, but it's appreciated. But I just look at the total amount of money each year in taxes. We're proposing 1.5 more, or I guess, 6.3 to 7.9. So yeah, the biggest increase. That amount of money has to come out of my neighbors, the businesses, the everyone. 22% higher than last year's tax bill, which was high. We've had record property value increase, and we were hitting tax increases with it when we should have been holding. Thankfully, last year we did great, but I've remained consistent since 2017, and I have no intention to change because I believe I'm aligned with the constituents of this community at large, and that is figure out ways to provide a quality level of service at a lower cost. And so it's just so far in the wrong direction. And every year we say, well, we can do whatever we want after. And then we're in this situation where we're looking at graphs this year showing what we originally proposed was this, and then you reduced it by that much. That little chart we saw earlier, it said we were originally this. Well, that means we're going to be in this situation again when it doesn't line up with where we are today. Prior to this meeting, I did state that I was looking for a tax increase as an individual member, and I was a bit shocked when I saw the budget come over. It went really high, and I know the we and what we want is a blend of the organization. It's not all council, it's what city staff, city council combined, and I think we can find, if we can't figure out a way to make this year work based on last year's revenue, then we have bigger problems. And the C5 was budgeted at like $5,000 in O&M cost. That was not going to increase our taxes. And there was not one workshop, I've said this, and it was jammed through. And that project today is sitting there, and it's got issues, as we're well aware of. We're not able to maintain it. Mayor Pro Tem Kellum was elected based on taking care of what we have. And so we're in a circumstance today to where we're feeling it. And police and fire and infrastructure must go on. And those nice-to-have amenities, we might have to take a hard look at some of those things. And I know those aren't fun conversations, but I was told everything's going to be okay, we're going to figure it out, and it was too big, too fast, and that's not me. That's what the residents were saying. And so here we are. And I was a 4-1 vote, and thankfully Mayor Pro Tem came on, and thankfully today, last year we had enough to give what the citizens deserve. The governor's request is not crazy to me. I'm very aware of the committee that was appointed. It didn't make it through the legislature. I'm ready to talk to them. Another letter for Doge has come to the mayor's office and the city of Cape Canaveral. And we can do this, and we do not have to compromise the quality of life for our city employees. I believe that. We've passed some retirement increases. We need to take care of our people. And I know that makes CIPs raise, but we've also seen line item budgets that are a really high number, and we don't have quotes on it, and we come out well under budget. So the cash in the bank today, I do not want to pull from reserves. We cannot violate our 20% policy. We can't do that. So if that 757,000 is there, I can't knowingly vote that that's going to put us at 19%. And maybe we should change from 20% to the GFOA recommendation of 17.5% and get 2 readings of that through. Maybe that's a viable way, but I want to work with our team here, our city staff, and figure out a way to make this work. But we're going to have to make some tough decisions, and I'm ready to do it. So,
Well, Mayor, obviously, when we talk about the 2.2 million reserve, whatever, one thing you have to look at is that police and fire, and we're not going to mess with police and fire like the mayor said, and I agree, but that is impacting us $1.5 million. That is where the biggest hit we're taking now. This is why we're in this discussion. This is a significant increase and a $325,000 air conditioner. So you're looking at almost 1.8 million.
right there.
And that's, so now we have to find a place where there was increase there and we got to take it from someplace else. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to find. And I don't know if I could find it. I do not know if I could find $1.8 million.
Have we, the process for Brevard County Sheriff's Office is through their CFO. They work on their budget and come back.
That's correct, yeah.
Because, our internal departments, I think I understand that, but they fit within the same procedures as its own separate department, I assume. And the number comes over and the increases, I'm understanding that those are 2 important things.
Without those impacts, we don't even have to have this conversation.
Well,
But
maybe we talk with, and I'm happy to talk with the Brevard County Sheriff's Office and understand that and see if they're aware of any grants or opportunities that we can help. Maybe they're able to be flexible. Or they say, no, we believe this is what's needed. And maybe that moves me a little bit, but I think understanding that, like last year, our fire department came forward and said, they were able to hold off. I don't know what we got to do or how we're going to do it exactly, but I know we can do it. And I don't think a tax increase is needed. And Brevard County Sheriff's Office, maybe if they understand that, and we can learn a little bit more, if they have any opportunities to help out, maybe they will. I'm certainly not going to push, but maybe they're willing to help, or they can see that our challenge is trying to keep taxes low. And I think fire department's adding 3 new, but in understanding the reason for that, I don't want to just turn a blind eye to them. I will listen, and I think the whole council can have an opportunity to listen to that too, and maybe that helps us. But, or unless you have any additional information on why we are increasing 3 firefighters, we share with the port. And there were some federal grants there with fire too through Congressman Herodopoulos' office. I don't know if we qualified for that, but as Mayor Pro Tem Kellum was talking about, a full-time grant writer certainly would pay for themselves as successful. And our city's been successful with grants, but there's a big difference in a full-time grant writer and using our existing city staff to work. I think the existing city staff would absolutely still always be involved within their relative departments, but this is the person that can stay on the hunt, and the city directors could work with them subject to the administration's desire and the new city manager. So the rollback rate of 3.2474 would achieve 6.4 million roughly in revenue. It's
Joey's checking.
I know it's not exactly the same amount as last year's because you have the new.
Well, our gross taxable value went up 3.1%. Just look at the ad calc, Joey, and that'll tell you exactly what the mayor's looking for.
Going to a rollback rate would give the city a combined total revenue of $6,591,000.
Thank you very much. One more time, 6 million.
$6,591,000.
Thank you. Just under 6.6 million. And Protective Services, Fire, and Broward County Sheriff's Office absorbs all of that, plus the extra, as you said, John, and that's where you're coming up. Okay. I've said enough. So
I have a
thank-
question about the
Mayor Pro Tem.
firefighters, the 3 new firefighters. Is that part of, I mean, we share them with the port. Are they kicking in on this increase for the new firefighters?
50/50?
Yeah, you know, I believe that's so, but what I'm going to do is I'll contact Chief Sergeant tomorrow, because even last year, Chief Sergeant provided an in-depth letter that stated, you know, how much the truck would cost, and then he described the 3 positions he needed. So I'll get that for council, okay? All right. So we could see exactly how that's expressed, whether it's 100% or 50% of that stuff.
And then I think I asked you and Joey the other day about the protective services, because we cover Avon by the sea. If the increase in what the county gives us, is that?
Right, they gave us that rebate of, what is it, Joey, 234,000 this year, something like that. Because since that's not part of the city, they go ahead and then give us, is it 234 or? 232.
So how do they, I mean, if it's increasing by 573,000, is that, how do they calculate what percentage they give us?
the finance officer at the sheriff's department could send us that information. Joey, why don't you tomorrow just send a message to their finance officer and have him send us the breakout on how that's calculated so council could see what that is. It's not negotiable, it's actually pure numbers that come out to that. Okay.
Thank you.
The new fire vehicle, 550,000 is our cost, our share, and
Right,
it's
that's
it's a $1.1 million truck.
right. So that we pay half of it. So it's,
The total cost of the truck, though, is over
Is-
$1 million, and it won't be ready
Right,
until
right.
3 years from now.
yeah, well, that's what they're going, yeah, that's what they're going in with. So that is, we're on the hook for 550,000.
And is that adding a new truck or replacing an old one?
That would be the new truck. So that is, yeah, they got 550,000 for the new truck. Yeah, that's adding a new truck. That's our share,
And
550,000.
we're gonna keep the existing trucks we have, so we'll have an additional truck?
I am not certain of if we swap truck. I don't know, think we hang on to the old truck. I don't believe so.
And we sell
we could
that
ask-
truck? Or who owns that truck when that asset is sold? Is that revenue that we're considering?
Yeah. Go ahead and put that also in your memo to Dave Sargent about what happens with the old truck. Does the city benefit in any fashion or form from getting a new truck and getting rid of that truck? Okay,
And it is a 50/50 with the port?
right.
Okay,
It's under ARPA. It's ARPA funds for that one.
we are using this source of ARPA, okay. Yeah, I think last year we were here and then we had reached back out to them. I don't think we reached out to Brevard County Sheriff's Office, but just letting them know that our goal is to try and determine if there are any reductions or move to next year. And maybe there are. But yeah, the revenue to that truck, I don't know how that would be accounted for. Sale of assets, but
Well, yeah, you can't even sell the old truck because it takes 2 years to build the new truck. It takes like 2 years to get the new truck. Yeah, fire trucks take a long time to be received.
I have a question, and I know we could get into this in our workshop, but just an example of line item things that, you know, is concerning to me, and I'm sure the rest of the council, like the budget detail on the resiliency division, page 39. Operating supplies went from $1,000 to $22,000. So it's things like that, you know, why such an increase, and what does that,
it's page 39.
yeah.
Okay,
And that's just as a sample of, you know, going through line by line to figure out where we could save money.
Well, we do have an itemized list for that, so we can give that to you, Mayor Pro Temp, and see exactly, you know what I'm saying, what we're doing there, what we're buying there. Why is that increasing? So that'll be in our workbook, so we could answer those questions, and my staff's taking notes right now, so.
And the building department just went double. I don't understand that one, and we're, I think You know, it's not just a percentage, you'll see a big percentage increase. There's a minimum dollar, and I think the one that Mayor Pro Tem pointed out, you know, anything that's gonna be over $5,000 is of interest, I guess, first wave, in firming up some of these numbers. How certain are we, especially on the CIPs, and instead of striking CIPs, just reducing CIPs?
We went through this last year at the budget time, and we went through every operating fund and said, why can't we cut 10% off of every total operating budget for each department? I could see that happening again. But again, I think for tonight, we need to decide on the millage that we're going to start with and get the new city manager on board, see what he has to think or say, and have another meeting and go through these things. I think there's money out there. So what would be the middle of the road millage between what we have now and rollback? I have it somewhere in here.
The middle of the road millage would be, the total millage would be 3.6073. And we have that on this document.
Okay. And I just can't find it right now. I got too many papers up here. What would that do to the reserves if we had to? Oh, thank you. There you go. Oh, I see. Okay. Halfway. Okay. And it would bring it down to 15.18. So last year, we did a tax decrease. And how did that affect the reserve?
Well, last year it wouldn't have, because we found when we took the $800,000 hit for reducing taxes, we removed $800,000 from the budget, which, in one of those things we removed was the fire truck, which was $550,000. So we were fortunate there that, and where Dave's came back. Matter of fact, Chief Sergeant is watching, and he sent me a message. So Joey, this is something we have answered for council already. Message from Chief Sergeant about selling the truck. No, that would be very costly on repairs for selling the truck. So the price he gives includes what he can get for it. So the price that we're,
Like a trade-in?
yeah. So at the time so that's a good way to say it. So we wouldn't hang on to it because, we got a new truck and then we get a trade-in. Includes what we can get for it. Yeah. A suggestion that staff, we would definitely look at tomorrow when we sharpen our pencils, whatever. But the mayor's suggestion that, the city back in 2000, it was, I believe, back in 2008 or 2009, determined that it would have a 20% city policy, fiscal policy. Actually, the GFOA percentage, which cities go by, is actually 16.7%. And so if council considered changing from 20% to 16.70, that would help in lowering or at least landing on a starting point for the tentative proposed millage.
Would that be in line with the halfway millage?
That's in line. Joey, could you put that, or I'm sorry, Esther, could you put that slide up again so we can see what that does?
I think it was.
That's a key,
15,
that is a key point. I mean, you know, it's Cape Canaveral's preference to have a 20%, but
Puts it at
they, it's
15%.
acceptable to have 16.7 without, you know, violating anything. So, okay, so here's the proposed, 747. That, see that there, Councilman Willis, that 3.9250, that as a starting point, that would use the reserves of 747, which would make our percentage go down to 7.7. So that really is not significant.
And I do want to say this, when we're looking at what we said in 2008, and it is now 2025, maybe it's time for decisions to be made because times have changed. I remember that time back then, and there was no one here, and there were foreclosures, and the real estate had bottomed out and all of these things.
That's when the real estate, yes, that's
Yeah.
when the real estate bombed out.
And so the taxes were low that year, if
It
I remember
went like
correctly.
this.
Yes. And so that, having that in the legislation, or to do that every year, made total sense back then. Maybe it doesn't make quite as much sense now.
It probably was a reflex action based on what happened with the economy.
Yeah, to ensure that they had reserves.
Right.
So I think that we need, I hear these things a lot when we're dealing with things with the city. Oh, we did this back in 2012. We did this, we're looking at this from 2008. We really need to look at what's happening, a little more current in our times. So maybe it is time to look at how we want that changed, if we want that changed. Because our ad valorem taxes have gone up from the hotels as well. So looking at this saying we need 20% in reserves all the time when literally our ad valorem taxes have gone up already, we may need to make some adjustment on that.
The intent, these what-if scenarios, I think it was based on 3 months of operating.
I think two
That's how they-
months. I
Yeah.
think actually 2 months of, but they, when they went to 20%, probably went beyond the 2 months. But it was it is 2 months, yeah.
Well,
A
and it-
city would want to have unobligated reserve of
And it would
2
make
months, which for some cities, that's a lot of money.
And it would have made sense back then, because literally I was sitting here going, where's everyone? I mean, there were so many people that were out of here. It was so, it was a strange time. So it makes sense that we revisit whether that 20% is really necessary, or if we go with the recommendation.
Do we know why buildings increasing from 457,000 to 815,000?
Yes,
78% increase?
yes, we do. Do you want to talk about what's in the workbook in front of you now?
Yeah.
And give the mayor at least a small,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm on page 12 of the budget book. It's the City of Cape Canaveral expenditures.
The reason why building has gone up so much is the same reason why the CED has gone down so much, because we just moved personnel from the CED department to the building department.
Okay, so a 29%, well, $300,000 reduction was $1 million in community and economic development for the current fiscal year. And that went down to 705,000, so that's frees up 300,000. And then building, so it's the difference of those two, maybe it's a
Yeah,
$1,000.
it's mainly in the personnel because we moved the personnel from the CED division to the building. So that is where the change in cost is.
But there could be maybe 100,000 because we moved that, well, less than 100, okay. I see. Yeah, I think those things are interesting. Opportunities maybe to look at.
I think that report, I said I'd give council tomorrow too, where they could see the salaries by department and the positions that are in that department. I think that's going to be real helpful too.
Okay, and so that same logic, administrative services, 737,000 is reduced down to 729,000, but it has a IT department in here, or no, it just, information technology, but that's going up $500,000. So and that IT department was within administrative services, still on the same page. Right, I think understanding, I see some of the CIPs, and the CIPs are within these proposed numbers on page 12 of the budget book, right? That's total.
Let me check.
Yeah, that's the
Page
total
12.
budget, yeah.
That's whatever, not just operating.
Right.
Okay, and yeah, I think that understanding, I mean, really, this is efficient, it just, all these would be good to even understand is, just because it's a decrease doesn't mean that it may be the best for our city. Maybe it needs to decrease more, but yeah, I would think if we're removing IT out of administrative services, it looks like administrative services actually increased and IT really increased.
Right, but and it could get confusing because you'd have to see the workbooks, but remember that the budget for the computers and what have you, the equipment maintenance line is non-departmental because now there's an IT department. That will move to IT. So we have 2 employees in IT accompanied by the equipment maintenance budget and the 2 CIPs that they have. That equates to the 515. So there's, just like as in the past when we had the resiliency division, but we didn't have one, we didn't have a resiliency division, those costs were in community and economic development. But then when we got the resiliency division with Zach and his team, when that was established, then those monies moved to the resiliency division, thereby lowering community and economic development.
Okay, I think it would be really helpful because this is a part of the confusion is divisions, departments. By department, right? I think what are our departments? Because it's hard to follow the trends when you have divisions and departments and we're doing what you're talking about. And I remember those things. To me, I think this council, we create departments, we as a council. We also then need to, when we create a department, need to decide how we're going to fund that department. And so if we had a list of the departments and then if resiliency is a division still in that department, it would be helpful for us to see a breakdown of departments. Because these new line items, in like IT is not a department. And we're calling it a division, but for us, for the efficiency, I think we want to keep that under the current department it's in until that department is actually, and if that department is actually created. I'm not, and then non-departmental is a massive amount of money that I don't think brings a lot of comfort to the residents, knowing that we have $4.1 million in non-departmental. Last year it was 3.7 million.
That's where transfers are coming out of. They're going out of the general fund. We could show you that although that looks like a big amount, there's monies being transferred out of there.
Okay.
It's coming from the revenues, but like, for instance, money's transferred to, what, Joey?
The
Stormwater, ARPA going to the CRA, things of that nature. Yeah, that money's not just sitting in the general fund. It's being transferred, a lot of it to the other departments or to the enterprise fund, CRA enterprise fund.
Yeah, I think I see $4.3 million this year. $1 million of it's operating. That's not being transferred. Another $1 million of it, oh, I'm sorry, grant and aids is 2 million. And then there's a bunch of transfers, to your point, so 25% of it appears to be transfers.
Mm-hmm.
And then each department has its own, or it's got its own contingency of two. I guess that's the total
No,
contingency.
that's the total contingency for
all.
the general fund.
Okay, so that's
200K.
important. So
Yeah.
if it's, so we got this contingency of 200,000, and then we got $1 million in operating. I guess, can we start moving some of these operatings into departments? I mean, I understand some of them, but
Well, the reason that they're like,
26,000 in audit?
yeah, the
That's
reason they're
finance
like,
audit?
yeah, the reason they're like that, Mayor, is because they're non-departmental. Even the reason for the name is that it represents all the departments in the general fund. So that supports all the departments in the general fund. They're not, like, we won't take the audit number and divide it by 8. We have that's in the general fund captured. That covers the part of the audit for the general fund. Then if you go in the enterprise fund, you'll see a similar number for wastewater and stormwater for audits. So that's why that's there, because it's unique to, like, for instance, professional services and HR. Well, HR supports all the employees. So it's not going to be broken out in departments. It's going to be captured here.
But HR is its own department? I don't think
No,
it is.
no, these are the professional services for HR. There's a description in our workbooks that will show you that. Even the legal ads and recording fees below it, those are professional services that, the city clerk puts out for all of the general fund, not just one individual department. And that's why this stuff's captured like this.
I understand, but things like, 24,000 A1A replenishment, that could go into infrastructure maintenance, or even its intent, right? I mean, R&R replenishment, I
Well-
think you're saying that goes into all departments. Well, could we, divide, that's 366,000, and then 442,000 in insurance. Couldn't that be divided up appropriately to see, there's $1 million.
Well, something like there's some unique stuff in there, like the A1A replenishment. That's what council had passed. And we're collecting that for, I believe, 10 years. You guys, a couple of years ago, approved that. So we have to put $24,000. That's actually, that's a replenishment that's being held there until, until we decide that we're going to use it. for whenever you start to incur costs or do things with A1A. That's something council approved.
Currently, we have July, obviously, to finish. August, September, we have 2.5 more months, really just 2 more months of operating under our current budget. If there are any expenditures at the end of the year that can be frozen or held off on, the council could consider to get an understanding of how much money we have available. Maybe we realize, hey, we don't want to do that. And I mean, we recently just approved quite a bit of expenditures in the city. And, you know, looking at this, it makes me pause on some of them. And we also might have to sell some assets. I know that's hard, but we have some assets that, in that whole strategy, that may not do a lot, but just the cost to manage them and keep them. I know our vehicles, or we trade them in, or maybe there's some different approaches there.
I was wondering if we could use fleet type of scenario for vehicles instead of every department just ordering their own vehicles.
We found it that's not cost effective because we do not have a big fleet. And we monitor these vehicles, and every time a vehicle, you know, we have to replace it or goes to pot, so to speak, it's amazing that we do get a fair price for junk, which is very interesting. We put it on the,
Well, right now, there's a huge market for used cars because that's been what's been going on about the last 5 to 7 years. But I don't understand why we can't have it as a fleet service for certain departments.
because there's we did something like that for Public Works and found out that we weren't getting the best bang for our buck.
No, and I wouldn't think that would be a great idea for Public Works, to be honest. They need their vehicles because if something happens, they've got to get out there to fix it. But I'm talking about up here. We've got Park Department wanting them. We've had the Resiliency Division wanting them and those kind of things. Most of the people there are here in this area. So why would we need a separate vehicle for those types of groups? That's what I meant.
Well, currently, we only have one vehicle for City Hall workers outside of the building department. Of course, there's trucks there because they have to go out.
Right.
But as far as all the other employees, we just got that new vehicle that's basically probably be used mostly with Zach and Resiliency, but every other employee who would need the vehicle to utilize it for daily or whatever the case may be, whatever purpose it was, that vehicle is being used by multiple people.
Well, and my question, let me ask you this, John, because having to have a vehicle when you're not in it for like 70% of your job, okay? And so why is that we have to have it? Because most I know a lot of government positions, they don't do that. You turn in your mileage at the government rate on an expense report. So for ones that are asking for it, that are groups that are not tied to the vehicle, you know, at a certain percentage, do we really need to do it? Or could we reimburse mileage? We're a 1.9 mile city, right? Or something like that.
But you're not talking about the building department and code enforcement, are you?
No.
Okay, because outside
Those guys have to have it, and so do Public Works.
Right. Outside of that, we only have one vehicle for all the other uses, and it's being used. We got one vehicle for.
But do we have it in place for them to get reimbursed for mileage in case they do need to go and the vehicle is not available?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that's scrutinized by myself as the interim city manager, but it's also scrutinized by myself as the administrative financial service director.
And that may be an alternative to having to buy more vehicles, because you know what? A lot of employees have to do that and turn in their mileage when they utilize their own car. That's why there's a federal mileage rate for vehicles utilizing their own car for mileage.
You know what really changed the whole dynamics of a lot of stuff was COVID, because I didn't go on one trip during COVID.
Yeah.
Either did my staff. You see what I'm saying? Like, that was a long time, but we didn't even utilize the vehicles because we couldn't go no place. And that lasted a while, so. But as far as additional vehicles, I don't even think they'd be utilized. I don't believe, I mean, we are starting to go on the road to more conferences again. But we take a vehicle when we could, and many times, you know, say somebody's got to go down to Fort Myers or something, then we pay them mileage and, you know, per diem to go do their.
Well, and I'm going to tell you, as an employee that was on the road as a road warrior for many years, I liked getting that mileage. It always equated to more money in my pocket if I drove my car.
Absolutely.
So I'm just asking that, trying to get a feeling of who's using what vehicle, because we've had Parks and Rec ask us, you know, last year they were looking at golf carts and they pushed those back. And then we've had one this year, a vehicle request. So I was like, do we need, you know, if it's not 50% of your job, you know, building department, they need it, public works, they need it, of course.
But I'll let Cheryl comment on this.
Yeah, Cheryl.
Since she pays all the mileage. for
Yeah,
the
there
city.
you go, Cheryl.
Hey, just wanted to let you know, okay, so we do, if an employee goes on a trip and they take their own vehicle, we do reimburse them what the federal cost is. But if we push that out to say, if you're going to start using your vehicles, we are going to have to look at, because it is a liability, they're on a city business, we're going to have to look at paying for their car insurance and anything else, you know, while they're in that vehicle on city business. So then again, it's not just 78 cents a mile. Now we're talking about covering their insurance for them being on that vehicle. And if their insurance company will let them drive that vehicle for business, then it becomes a business vehicle.
Okay, so then that leads me to the place where, how many trips do we have out of our city as city employees?
We have a lot of training that the employees go to, which benefits the city quite a bit. So, you know, going on the training, if they can take a city vehicle, if it's available without taking, especially our building department, if they take a vehicle away from one of the code enforcement or one of the building department, then they're down at that time. So they will take their own vehicle. And we just reimburse them for mileage.
Yeah, my question is, because, and I understand what you're saying, and that's good, but literally we all work here in this city, so I'm trying to imagine how much travel could justify buying cars for employees to go out of town when they work here. You see what I'm saying? They work here locally to us. So that's, I mean, training, how many times a year if I was a staff member, how many times a year would I go out of town to train?
Well, people with certifications, most of the time, maybe once a year.
Okay, so once a year if they've got certifications. What if any others that would require more than that? I'm just trying to understand it.
Well, besides certifications and conferences that they are required to attend, like John says, you know, for their certifications, for their licenses, we do provide, you know, we pay for their conferences, we pay for their meal, you know, their per diem, just like we did when we were talking about with the city manager candidates coming in. That's how we do everything the exact same way. They have to follow the GSA rates on that. But then again, some of them will take their own car, knowing at the risk that they're only going to get their mileage on that.
Okay, what if we rented a car for them as the city?
Then again, we have to be able to provide the insurance for them on that car. Our city insurance for our vehicles would probably not cover a rental car for
Okay,
them. We'd have to
normally-
get a separate rider for that.
And we might, and that might be cheaper than buying a bunch of cars, I don't know. I'm trying to understand how a couple of trips a year starts justifying having to buy all these vehicles. That's just what I'm trying to understand. Okay,
No.
thank you.
You're welcome.
That non-departmental transfer to stormwater for $1 million or $500,000, what is that for? And that's just, transferring out of the general fund. For,
Joey's looking in the workbook for you.
yeah, I was trying to actually, oh, is it the impact fees?
The non-departmental transfer to the stormwater fund
Yes.
for 1.1 million.
Yes.
That is broken down because those are the ARPA funds that we transfer from the general fund to the stormwater fund. And because those CIPs are partially, if not fully, funded by ARPA funds. So we transfer it from the general fund to the stormwater fund to help fund those projects.
Thank you.
And that was the 1,115,728, is that correct? On page 47? No, wait, that was the total impact fees, I'm sorry. That, okay, I see it, thank you.
1.1 million.
1.1 million.
I was the 1.1, the
I was
extra,
I was 2 lines down, but I'm almost blind after putting the spreadsheet together.
that extra 15,000 you were talking about is, we transfer money from the general fund to the 602 fund.
Mayor,
For
to
that
pay
law
for
enforcement.
Mayor, is it
police
possible for a 5-minute?
at
You're good, Joey.
Cocoa Beach High School.
We might need to take a break.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
we
how
do.
about we do that and recharge and try to wrap this up and get that meeting? I think kind of dove in here and, yeah, let's take 5 at least, 8:24. Let's try to get back by 8:30 on that clock, I guess. I got the 8:22, so yeah.
Mr. Mayor, can I say one thing before we break?
Yep.
I sat my PC over here because I was showing him that that's exactly what I had done, is I broke it out by department and fund so that I could see what was going on. So when you were saying that, I was trying to show you that I've got that. I did that as part of what I was doing.
It's a great way to look at it. Yeah.
Okay.
I would like to have what you.
I'll be happy to share that and get it to Esther as well for public record when I get it completely finished.
Going to go ahead and call the meeting back to order here. We're 8:36 PM, and as we're kind of getting settled back in, I think we should pause and try and schedule that meeting, the workshop meeting that Mayor Pro Tem and we've all discussed here. First, get that out of the way, and we can, between now and that date, work with our city staff. I think a big point that our interim city manager, John, pointed out is from July 31st through August 12th, if I have it, you will not be here.
Yes, sir. I just, obviously, I didn't just schedule that. That was scheduled a year ago.
No, understood.
I didn't know I was going to be the city manager. So those trips get scheduled long ago. But yes, I'll be out of town. I'll be out of country.
Okay. No, I understand.
I'm going back to my homeland. Yes.
Our city attorney's jealous. You see that look?
The attorney goes there. But,
Beautiful.
if
Happy you're doing.
I mean, of course I want to be here, so if this could be scheduled for like August 14th or 15th, whatever that date is for the next workshop, I definitely want to be here.
Okay, so what do you think? Those dates, one more time, the 14th?
August 14th?
Oh, the 4th. Yeah, Mayor, in terms of having to meet the deadline for August 4th, we have to come together on a millage, and then they're talking about the workshop, the next workshop, which would be anytime between August 14th and August 20th would be good.
Maybe I misunderstood.
No, you're right. You're right.
The workshop is for purpose. The workshop, is my understanding, is for purposes of the council coming to some understanding and agreement on the contents of the resolution. Isn't that what the council was
Right, yeah.
talking
yeah.
about? So you have
Yeah.
to look at the deadline for the approval of the resolution and distribution to the tax collector's office.
And that's the 4th, and there's no leeway?
No, that's firm, because the tax collector has to get all this stuff in and then process it and get it out from every city. No, there's no leeway there.
Statutory deadline.
Can't we do the workshop next week? Oh, you won't be here next week?
On from the 19th.
Oh, okay.
Write it on a number,
Mm-hmm.
then we could schedule, we would. Manager comes on the 4th. John will be back, the new manager.
If we chose a number and we had to increase, I know that's not, is there a process to do that?
Can't do it.
I believe there is, and I think
Okay.
the process would be to re-advertise,
Send trims back out? or-
right, at the city's expense.
Okay, okay.
I believe that's the
That's if you-
consequence.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember.
wouldn't it be best to just not worry about image and just do the proposed rate? We will be looking at going down in any fashion we can. I mean, the 22% increase that you referenced was against approved millages. This is just a proposed millage. We know we're going to be trimming. We're going to do whatever we can. I don't want to pay property taxes any more than anybody else. In fact, I've been paying property taxes longer than you've been alive. But, you know, that, nobody wants it. But for the sake of trying to gather all the information that has been put out here tonight and where we need to go and what we need to study, what John and his team are going to be providing us, I think we need to make as informed a decision as possible. Because I certainly don't want to put the city in a position that a lot of HOAs and condo associations are in by trying to not regulate their fees, their homeowners' dues, and then end up the next year just having to assess everybody out incredible amounts. So we all know that this is a ceiling. We're not going above this. We're only going to go below. And I think unless we're just worried about image and perception, I would be fine with going with the proposed rate as a tentative, understanding that we're going to do everything we can to lower it.
Yep.
I would say that with the, proposed run.
If it's not image or perception, it's the reality of my convictions and principles. I agree with the governor, 100%. I don't think that it is a one-size-fits-all, but for Cape Canaveral, how we've got ourselves in a circumstance that it will take time to get out. But we have opportunities for revenue that a lot of other cities do not have, i.e. the port. And it's my deepest principle is that I did not come in here to grow government and to buy more land. I mean, right out of the bat, we bought $1 million property that Dr. Roberts spoke about tonight. And we've spent a lot of money. This city hall's not that old. You know, it's 6-7 years old, and now we're replacing a $350,000 air conditioner. The maintenance of the splash pad, and it's haste makes waste, and I think we're feeling it today. And why are we going to penalize the taxpayers for that? So I hear you loud and clear. It's not image, it's who I am, and I think it's who the Cape Canaveral residents are. They tasked us, they elected us to come in, keep their city safe, and be stewards of the money. So I would reject this entire first budget as just a starting point, and respectfully, it's not anything personal. It's a big miss from anything that I've tried to communicate, and I think we've represented in our votes last year. And so I don't think I confused anyone. You know, it's not a bait and switch. It's always who I've been every year. I've supported one budget, and that was last year out of 7, and that was the one that we actually decreased. And we've come a long ways from talking about things like millage and we're below 4. None of that matters. At the end of the year, it's how many dollars you're going to have to pay. And I'm happy to hear we're going to do everything we can to decrease. And I think the majority of this council can move in the direction as they want. I would be more comfortable having, as our city attorney was, I think he interpreted it accurately, before sending a trim out, giving our best. And I don't think we gave ourselves enough time with the 1-hour workshop. That's why we're suffering today, is that we could sort of set ourselves up for failure. We got a budget, 22%, $1.8 million. We've got a lot of assets in the city that we're having to manage. We're having a hard time managing them. And we are increasing employee size, we're increasing property size, we're increasing assets. and the costs and the unexpected come. And where I would go to get more comfortable is the current status we're in today, looking back at some of those investments that we've made and trying to figure out where we can cut, especially in the remaining 2 months, if there's anything that we can do. Because a lot of these numbers are copy and paste because we haven't spent them, and that was a confusing point I think we've talked about in the past. But yeah, if this budget was presented to us on July 1, and that's the first time we really saw it, and so my immediate reaction was I would have expected a budget lower. We knew the fire truck was coming. And I know things happen unexpectedly, but we've had more unexpected revenue gains than we've had unexpected damages and loss. We've had windfalls of cash dropped into City Hall, and we're here today, and I've never went in and examined the actual expenses, the day-to-day, but I don't know where the money's going. But there's, I think, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars that gets adopted every year that we really don't need. And if this council wants, for the sake of moving forward, and I respect that, to pass a millage rate that's over rollback rate, I will support what the majority of this council wants to do, but I hope it comes with the tenacity to lower taxes, because these are the straw men that we create. We come in and we talk about this high number, and then we're now cutting, and I think the operating budgets, the expansions have been great for 3 years, and there has been some project management with the construction of this city hall and the project management of the C5 that we're paying for today. And I'm hearing a lot of the old things that we were talking about in my head today. Oh, it's not going to be that bad. Oh, we're going to be fine. And now it's our problem. So I hope that we can be forward-looking, and I'm open to the 17.5% GOFA recommendation for reserves. There's no reason to have a bunch of cash laying around. I'm open to approaching the port. I've never said this on the record, but it needs to be said. 6 million passengers go through Port Canaveral every single year. $1 per passenger is $6 million to our city. I don't understand the services that we share fully, maybe getting a better understanding of that. We love the port for the chartered port, a fishing community. It has evolved into a big enterprise, and it is growing, and the existing terminals it's bigger boats and more terminals, and so I will go to bat and this whole council to go out and find revenue. We've talked about parking meters without imposing that on our residents. And I think those things take time, and obviously we have the state of Florida there, and we've got our friends at the county, the state, and we have very good relationships at every level of government. And so we can figure out the revenue side especially for our police, fire, infrastructure, and those critical things. But I wouldn't feel good about it, but for the sake of a new city manager coming in and the unity of this council, I will support what this council proposes. So rollback rate, I know it takes guts to do that, but that's where I would go. However, if we're not comfortable, let's get this moving forward and do what we think is best.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
do we have an opportunity to meet again before I know Mickey is going to be out of town.
I'm flexible.
I mean, I'm not going out of town till August 1st, but I was informed a little while ago. But I'm willing to come back and meet, and let's come back with some alterations if we can find them, and then come up with a millage.
Yeah, that's what we were saying, and then I think that the crunch is,
August 4th.
Yeah, I know that, But I mean, between now and August 1st, if we can. I know Mickey's going to be out of town, so we have to come up with something.
and I mean, even a workshop where we're not even taking action, we're just giving some, supporting our city staff and giving them the direction, and they're helping us. Even if all of us couldn't be here, knowing, I'd be willing to do that. Today's the 15th. We've got 2 weeks. Mickey's gonna, if she was able to do anything, it'd have to be remote in that period.
But you come back when?
The 30th, 31st.
Well, if we were to have workshops and work on getting the millage to an acceptable level, we all have to come back with cutting something.
I just think if we could agree on a number right now, and that gives us a breathing room between, for John's, the 4th to get the numbers in, the 4th to get the new city manager here,
Mm-hmm.
more time to get the information that we've asked for and you guys have provided all together. So we can, we're rushing this decision.
And like the mayor said, we set ourselves up for failure here. And I agree with that. We're trying to do something, but we're also trying to agree.
Right.
I think if we went to the middle of the road, I could support that, but we're going to have to find a lot of stuff to cut.
Part of it, the August 4th part of it, the road. A lot, but it gives more information.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean,
And I'm going to do the remote meeting with, and I would really like
Went on for months. And so this being my second time around, I'm like, whoa, I don't want to do it that way.
well, I mean, but then we've got to agree on where we're going to be, when we're going to meet to make that choice. We've got to work on getting to that choice, and then we've
Absolutely.
got to meet to make that choice.
And I agree with that. I'm just not I'm saying I don't feel comfortable tonight
Well,
making that decision.
That's valid. That's perfectly good. But let's agree on a time to do a workshop. Let's get there.
it has to be before the 4th.
Well, we've got to meet and decide on a resolution for a millage rate before the 4th. So that's going to be an official meeting of council. So you would be back possibly on the 31st to meet, right?
I would say the 1st to be perfectly
Okay,
And we have a backup meeting up for the city,
of
the
the
new
first,
city
yeah.
Well, that's an
manager.
idea.
Well,
So we
hopefully won't
could
have to take that.
back-to-back some meetings there and get it all done,
Or break it up.
or break it up, yeah.
Just have a task to focus on one area of the budget, maybe we just focus, in that,
That way, we would have everyone in attendance and be able to attack it before the 4th.
Could we possibly have a workshop during business hours?
I'm good with that.
I can make that work. And I think that's better for our city staff as well. especially when we're talking about numbers. I would imagine much better in the morning than at this time of day, so.
Well, I've got more coffee in the morning, so I'm ready.
That's a good suggestion.
Absolutely. 8 to 5. I mean, I will come in and do whatever's needed.
What day are we talking about?
Which day do you leave?
Lose the 19th.
So we have,
What is the advance notice for a workshop? What's the time period for that?
48 hours,
48.
48 hours?
I think.
72.
Okay.
Could we possibly, well, Mickey leaves the 19th, so.
Yeah, I think the Mayor Pro Tem from the 19th through the 31st is the elephant in the room. I mean, there's going to be, we got 3 days, basically. She's already going to break and do a virtual
On 29th?
on the 29th. I think if we were going to do anything, staff needs a little bit of time to process. So, trying to do something, meeting the minimum notice requirements this week. And, I mean, Friday, the 18th, I don't know if, that actually might be an issue with me. Yeah. That's too soon, and I don't think we have enough time. But on that day, or the 22nd, earlier in that day.
I won't be available till the afternoon on the 22nd. Probably around 2 o'clock.
Okay. And we said the 29th.
Could we not have an extended, the 29th is for the contract. Could we meet even earlier on the 29th?
That's what, I didn't mean to even say the 22nd. That was what I was thinking. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, same circumstance, but if you were going to be virtually that day on the agreement,
On the 29th, I could be virtually.
2 o'clock?
and if I can make that work. I
mean,
think that's the best we have.
Are we going to have all the information?
I think John and his team are going to get us stuff tomorrow or the next day. Kay's going to share her spreadsheet with us soon, I hope. And I think if we can look at what we think can be cut in the interim, if anything, or whatever, we've got to have a plan, and we've got to agree on what can be cut, and we can each make our case.
Yeah, I think the individual opportunities and staff might only be able to move as fast as they understand a few things, and depending on what we want to do, they've presented to get everything that is proposed done. So yeah, we could go into that meeting on the 29th, I think, in a much better, it's not picking up where we are today. We're going to be in a
Right.
different position if we're able to meet. I know you'll be traveling, but
Not really wanting to work on a budget.
Will that be an official meeting then on the 29th? Because we have to do this in a official meeting. We can't do it in a workshop. The resolution has to be passed, right? In
public hearing.
an actual public hearing.
Yeah, I mean,
Well-
I would leave that opportunity open. So that you'd have to do a special meeting, have to advertise a special meeting.
Right.
Going to have to advertise a special meeting for the city manager contract as well, so.
So what if we had the workshop earlier in the day? We have the special meeting for the contract and the millage resolution.
Yeah, that would work. So the special meeting would now consist of 2 agenda items.
Yeah.
Rather than 1.
And that's better than you, I think, meeting 2 different days. You can at
Yes,
least
I would rather get it done.
put a red X on that evening for you. Okay, so we're talking about a special meeting with a public hearing and an item for action on the agreement. And 4, did we say 2 PM? 4?
Well, if we're talking about a workshop to discuss where we might go for a millage rate that we can agree on, everybody present their case, then we have the meeting for the contract and the resolution on the millage rate.
I was just trying to simplify so you don't have to do a workshop and then a special. Could we just do 1 meeting
Well,
with 2 items and call it a discussion item? And, we're going to discuss the budget.
But we would still need to vote on the millage rate, though.
Yes.
Okay, so just make it a 2 o'clock to whenever meeting?
Yes, and have maybe 3 items. 1 is discussion.
Mhm.
And 2 is the public hearing after that discussion, and 3 would be the contract. And if Mr. Touchberry was available that day, that would be even better. So why don't we go for that?
So it's 2 and 5.
Oh, yeah, yep. I see.
But we still have to vote on the millage resolution
Okay.
in order to beat the August 1st.
Is there any issue with public hearings being too early in the day that we need to? It's not. I think that's the issue with what I was proposing.
Oh, okay.
We would have to have probably 5 PM. So,
Yeah, no, I don't think there's a time restriction on this particular resolution,
okay,
because there isn't an advertisement requirement for this particular resolution. When you get to the tentative millage and the adopted millage, there are limitations and restrictions on time, but I don't believe on this resolution there is one.
okay. I think whether it's 1 meeting or 2 meetings, that day from 2 PM to, we're gonna probably spend 2 to 3 hours no matter what. And so I was just thinking if we did 1 meeting, you would say at 2 PM that we'll have a public hearing on it. But the public would know. We used to put time slots on the items. I think the first item could just be, and if a workshop works in the same meeting, that's how we used to do it. Dr. Roberts could confirm his 5 PM workshops and then 6 PM meetings. And so if that works, I think we're available from 2 PM through the evening with those 3 items. We want to have the ability to discuss it and then take the vote on the resolution and then the contract. And I think if we said discussion, it was going to be 2 to 3 hours. Someone could see the agenda and see we're not going to get to that probably till later. So if that works, I think that's the best path. Okay, well, let's do a motion to schedule that date and time.
I make a motion to schedule a meeting for July 29th from 2 until for designated items with the budget and contract of
second.
city manager.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion by Councilmember Willis and a second by Councilmember Davis. Any further discussion? Seeing none, City Clerk?
Councilmember Davis,
Or,
Councilmember Jackson. 4. Mayor Pro Tem Callum,
4.
Mayor Morrison,
4.
and Councilmember Willis.
4.
Okay, motion passes 5-0 to schedule the meeting.
Mayor, could I have one clarification?
Yes, sir.
I just want to let you know, when you were talking about the GFOA,
Yes?
it's actually 16.7, and I just want to know if that's okay with you, because as we start doing our numbers and whatever, I need to know that you're not looking for 20% or 17.7, you're looking for what the GFOA is, and that's 16.7.
Yes. And
Okay,
if
that's the reserve, that's the reserve.
And if it helps us to consider that and add that on the agenda, and we can go in with that intent and set a budget knowing, I don't know if that's not a chartered thing, that's just in our,
No.
that would require 2 readings though, but we could, yes, I think we're early, we're gonna have more budget hearings. Whatever that recommendation is, I think that's what we should consider and calculate.
At least
That's lower than we
that gives
thought.
us a target at least, yeah.
Okay.
And I guess we're not considering, Esther, we're not considering this particular thing, this agenda item that we're looking at now, because they reschedule meetings, right? I just wanted to point out that on this agenda cover, it says September 2nd, that was a typo, it's September 3rd, because by state statute, you have to hold your you can't hold your budget hearing until between September 3rd and September 18th. And I was talking to state about that. So that still is not a conflict with the county. So
Okay.
that date, when you see it the next time, it'll say September 3rd. And on Esther's schedule that's attached, when you look at the first budget hearing, I don't know if that could just be done by consensus now on your schedule to change that to 9/3 instead of 9/2. That's all I got.
Page 17 of the budget adoption schedule?
Yeah, the attachment to,
Okay, I have to have a look.
of the
Of the-
city council meeting schedule.
Oh, okay, that's.
If you go
Thank-
down to the first budget hearing, that should say 9/3, not 9/2.
Oh, we're approving the entire schedule.
There you go, that's
Okay,
Well, actually, that's just stating that according to the schedule, that this particular agenda item had to be passed. It actually has to be done, the soonest it could be done is September 3rd by the state. It can't be done September 2nd.
okay,
So that schedule just needs to read 9/3, however that gets updated. I'll
So
leave that-
it's there.
I'll leave that with the city clerk, how that gets updated. Could you just do a change here with a consensus from this? Okay, we could do a consensus with the council now.
For the
just to
first
change the
public
date.
hearing?
Yeah, to
Okay.
9/3, yeah.
okay. Council, all in favor of changing the September 2nd, 2025 special council meeting and public hearing as listed to one day later, 9/3?
yes.
Any opposed? Seeing none, I think we have
Okay.
consensus.
See, none of that.
Do.
So you have to stay and take action and everything.
Okay. Well, we've got it scheduled. I think we had some good talks today, and I appreciate everyone's input and patience in hearing out some of the perspectives as well that I had to share. We will be taking action at that time. If there's not anything else on this, I think we can move on.
We are going to schedule the 8/19 budget workshop if needed. That's going to be
Okay. So we are on attachment 2, the schedule that's provided here. Yep, that's the right one, thank you. the August 19th, 2025, 6 PM workshop. If needed is underlined. We're saying we do need that. I think that's a good idea. Council, are we okay?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I think we will be.
And if we do not need it, no one comes to, we don't need to come to the meeting, right? And we obviously notify and say we don't feel like we need to be there tonight, so, and try to catch it before notice, but yes. Okay, so on this schedule, we've changed 9-2 to 9-3. We've clarified that the budget workshop on August 19th is needed. Are there any other changes?
Just a question, since we had a resolution scheduled here, do we need to do a
Same thing.
postponement? Do we do, no postponement? Okay,
No advertisement.
okay, there's no advertisement.
Yeah, I understand that.
What's that?
I'm talking about the resolution
The resolution for the,
itself. This.
yeah, the resolution itself for the millage. He's saying that there's no advertisement.
No, but I was wondering if you're going to postpone that item to,
Oh, that item's being postponed
Yes, I
to the
just-
schedule that they just called on the
right, so I
29th.
just didn't know if you want a motion on, or just leave it as
Oh,
is.
I see. So we scheduled a meeting, and I
Right.
think you want a formal motion for the purpose of postponing this resolution in front of us?
I would like to make a motion to postpone the resolution tonight to the meeting on the 29th.
I'll second.
I got a motion by Councilmember Jackson, a second by Councilmember Willis. Our city attorney might,
I mean, the prior motion was to place this matter onto a special agenda, special meeting agenda. So that was the action,
Okay.
right, which obviously postpones the resolution. It's being put on a special meeting agenda. So I don't think the second motion is necessary.
All right,
Okay.
thank you. Okay, nice. You want to withdraw that motion?
we'll
on
need to
the floor,
withdraw it.
please?
I would like to withdraw my motion.
Thank you.
any further action needed, Mr. City Attorney, on that?
No, we'll see everybody on the 29th.
Okay.
I have a report.
Fuck, that's right.
Any other items on this, the schedule and/or the resolution? Okay. Seeing none, we can go ahead and move on to we have no items for discussion, item 9, and item 10 for reports. Councilmember Jackson?
Yes, y'all are, I'm going to go through this as quickly as I can because y'all are like, oh boy, here she comes. There's copies for you guys and copies for you. Okay. The details on this, the beach access between Royal Mansions and Canaveral Sands had a pin showing that memorial walkway that was the location of those memorial stones on that beach boardwalk. And I discussed in prior council meetings the fact that it had more or less almost become a cemetery. And we have no public parking there. And I believe Molly took the initiative to change that, which is good. However, things have happened since. So, since then, Google Maps, it's been changed on Google Maps, and it requires you, when you change a PIN on Google Maps, to log in and claim that space. So I think the space is claimed by the city, okay? But if you look, there are 3 circles on the map that I'm showing you. Those are the only 3 beach accesses that they're showing. So one is that north, it says North Ridgewood Beach access. That's that memorial. And that's the first one you come to when you look at Google Maps. And then the other one is down on Float Beach, south of Chandler Park and all of that. So what is happening now is because that Boardwalk Access has the pin for access to the beach and Cape Canaveral when you go to Google Maps. That's where everyone's going. And there's no parking there. I believe this is creating a flow of people to that beach access, which was traditionally zoned access for the R1 zoned neighborhoods up in that neighborhood. And now we've got short-term rental golf carts parking there. You'll see on the second page, the next page, the golf carts parked around there. That was 4 of them on one day, and there are literally like 10 of them at one time. And then you'll even see that we have a truck parked there. Literally over the curb, through a storm swell, parked down there to go to the beach. So I understand from a recent event that with the golf carts that Royal Mansions owns a portion of that property in the area. However, with that Google Maps pin pointing people there, I'm afraid, I'm really worried about public safety because on a moonless night, it is completely black down that public boardwalk, and I'm worried about somebody getting hit or anything like that. So it's very low light due to the turtle lighting, and I'm worried about the public safety hazard. Now, if you look at the next one, it shows the guy's truck again, and he's literally come down an area that doesn't have a road. It's a sidewalk and a storm swell. So what I wanted to request with the interim city manager, because I know you have some staff that are highly tech savvy, is that we get that pin off that access point because there's not even a place to park. And also, I think we as council need to talk about having a special meeting when we have an opportunity. I know budget and new city manager is more important. But I think we need to look at where do we have accesses for the beach on Google Maps located and where we want people to be, okay? Do we want it on the end of each presidential street? Do we want it in Harbor Heights, which it shows the Peacock Beach on Harbor Heights on the Google Maps? Want accesses to be. To me, it makes a lot of sense for our hotels up on the north end of town that are accommodating the cruise industry have their people go to Jetty Park. They have restrooms. We don't have restrooms to accommodate this in our city. So we've got some problems here. So you'll see on the next one where there's some rental chairs. They're literally putting up with a QR code. And we're providing these people, they were telling them to go to the beach on a spot that doesn't even have parking. So we've had quite interesting times there. But we have no restroom facilities for our guests that are being dropped off. I've seen people relieving themselves in the dunes. This is not what you want to see. There's increased rentals of equipment in all areas from beach vendors. Some have BTRs, but they don't have franchise fees. And here we told A1A that they could drop off paddle boards at the end of Washington only, but meanwhile, these people are setting it all up wherever anyone asks. So I think we need to look at those things as well. And so there's one I know that is, he told me, oh, this is my beach. And he said, I go to Royal Mansions, Discovery Beach Resort, and Cape Winds. And he's using those condo complexes as advertising on his website. So I think we've got a little bit of a wild card out there with some of these things. With the 3 motor coaches at Jerry Down, I'd like to know if we had an event permit, because that's bringing in 120 people to an already full county park that the parking lot was absolutely full on. And to me, 120 people on 3 different motor coaches, and those buses were full, to me, that equals an event. And we should have a permit for that.
Were they parked in the park?
No, they were parked on Ridgewood.
Well, you can't park there.
They did. I went by, I drove by, went to dinner, and was told they were there earlier in the day. When I went to dinner, they were still there. When I returned, they were still there. And so we
That
need,
wide part of Ridgewood,
well, just past
not
Washington.
justifying it, but where
Just-
Surf Drive
No.
tees in.
Just where, I mean, literally from Washington Street, the buses were facing north on the east side of the road, and there were 3 motor coaches that cut off, they stopped right before the entrance of Sherry Down. So I think that part of it, and maybe this is, I don't know, interim city manager, maybe you can tell me, maybe this is something that Tamsin might want to address with community development.
Yeah, this whole thing that you're describing, yeah, Tamsin and Gerald, and they've worked some of these issues. I even went over there with Tim to view exactly where this truck was, and then where they're on the access thing. They must have went down a gully to get in there. So anyway, based on that, yeah, I'd like to get with Tamsin and Gerald, but what I'd also like to do, Councilmember Jackson, is if it's all right for Tamsin to call you and maybe have just a little roundtable, because they're working some of these issues already.
I would love to, and I think that I personally believe it'd be a great idea
Okay,
for Tamsin to even reach out to the hotels that are up there and ask, where do you send people to the beach when guests ask you? And then us work as far as community development on where we need those people to be. Because we don't have the facilities for this. And I'm telling you right now, with what I've heard about the budget today, we're not building restrooms up and down Upper Beach access right now, I'm guessing. So we have to think about the fact our traffic to the beaches it's increasing. And with that, we need to be strategic in managing that traffic as well as, everything going on A1A or anywhere else.
okay. So I'll discuss it with them, and they're very aware of these situations. And then at the prime time, we will engage with you. I'll have them engage with you to let you know what they're actually pursuing.
Please reach out, and I'm happy to help. And I actually put this together so we could enter it into public records so that you guys would have it, and that kind of thing. So I gave an extra copy for our city clerk.
Got it.
And that's all I had.
Thank you. Yeah, and when I just use Google Maps, and maybe they're all different because you have different layers, I do see some of the, the beach accesses. And I don't know if that's our city inputting those in there, but
Is it pinned, though, is what I'm talking about?
they got P for parking.
Okay.
So Taylor, Polk.
And see, I
and
did it from a
they-
piece.
If you zoom out, they go away though.
Well, and that's the thing. If you look at the whole area,
Mm-hmm.
the pin is showing at that North Beach,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a different color pin if you notice. It's green. Now, I
Mm-hmm.
want to tell you, this same thing happened to Tulip in Cocoa Beach.
To who?
Tulip Avenue in Cocoa Beach, which is
Okay.
right by International Palms. Someone that didn't want the tourists heading into downtown Cocoa Beach, were pretty sick of the noise and parking and trash, put a pin on Tulip Avenue, which has no restroom and all this. And I mean, they were literally having a really big problem with the people the condos in that area were having problems. But regardless, that one needs to be removed because there's no parking.
Or state no parking, but you're right. North Ridgewood beach access doesn't show the same symbol as parking, but it doesn't say it. And yeah, 50 people have, reviewed it and liked it. So do we know who created that pin? Was it,
I
or
don't.
could our city, if we did not create it, could we create one to?
Yes, and that's what it's part of the technology world we live in, is why I brought this up. We need to define how we want people moving through our areas. Because how many people we have coming through cruises? 6 million? And they think that's the place to go. And it doesn't have a restroom, it doesn't have a place to park. And then we've got motor coaches coming in, dumping people too. So we've got to start looking at, our world's changed. Otherwise, put it out to the voters and ask them if they want to become a commercial beach area, because our city charter with saying we're a residential community with no commercial on the beach is going away. So we have to be proactive if we don't want that to change. And I'm seeing it a lot in that area, but when I saw the motor coaches, I was like, oh no, we've got to address this.
Just wait till Harbor Heights becomes a gated community. I'm teasing, but it's, it's always talked about, and it's not a lot of spots back there, but that's probably the most disruptive,
No, but we have
that's an issue.
a sign that says beach is full, and we put it up at the.
Well, and we have gates and they just hop over them. So I went the other day over the weekend, and they had literally, somebody had taken a Sharpie and made a black circle around the buttons you push for the code on both sides. So you could just punch and go in. So nothing surprises me anymore, but that's all I had. I'm sorry, taking up too much time.
I have one thing to say. I think when we brought this up before, about the golf carts down there and all that, we were talking about 31A having that we don't have a franchise agreement for rent. But we talked about a need for that. And I think we're at the point, either we are going to do it or we're not going to do it.
Well, and I think that this shows with the rental chairs that you saw in those pictures, people are wanting that.
Yeah.
Our visitors are wanting that. So maybe we shouldn't cut that off, but what we need to do is make sure that the franchise fee is paid for and that we've defined where they want to go. Just like we need to check with hotels and say, in my opinion, check with hotels and say, where are you sending your guests? Well, you know what, if it's a 200-room hotel up here and people are asking all the time, you know what, shuttle them to Jetty Park, because they have restrooms and facilities we don't have that are controlled by the port. And we don't control Sherry down, and once it's full, and people are parking on the streets, so, or at least tour buses are. So I just think it's something that in the near future, after we go through the pain of the budget and all of this stuff, that it's something that we need to make decisions as far as council as to how we want people moving through our city.
Or, get some sort of control of it. Yeah, Dr. Roberts, if you want to come up take your time, and that's okay. I think as she's coming up, the bus tours or peacocks back in Harbor Heights is a pop. You've seen the big
Yes.
buses driving through the figure eight?
To come see the peacock.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is an example of where we may not have done environmental impact assessment. Just these very kind of questions that y'all are raising now. And I would hope with those 11 additional hotels that there was some analysis that was asked for, and this would have been part of their proposal. So I'm just expressing my sense of frustration. The other concern I have when you all start putting them towards Jetty Park, if we don't talk to the condos, we don't have private beaches here, but those condos up in the north part of the city would be impacted dramatically, because already we're getting the Jetty Park visitors coming down from north to south. And I just hope that when we do our canvassing of residential input, that we ask the condos for their input on this. What worries me sometimes is we don't consider parts of the city when we make some decisions. So I would ask that you all consider asking those condos in the communities, including Harbor Heights, what we think of that, because there's no doubt if we increase that 11 hotels worth of traffic all the way from Jetty Park, they will understandably have to come south because they have nowhere else to go. And then this is where it does impact the quality of life, for which, as you all have noted, our residents are paying a lot of money to own and live where we are. So that quality of life, in my opinion, deserves to be preserved and protected. And that's one of the reasons we also turn to council to protect us.
Thank you. Yeah, those are excellent points.
Well, since we have no retail business that we make sales taxes off for these people in our city pretty much, shuttle them to Cocoa Beach. Send them to Cocoa Beach. They've got a parking garage and restrooms.
I think the issue on the franchise, maybe at the next, we should make sure, get that on the agenda and at least begin the conversation, because I do remember that. And I know there are small vendors out there that want to do a good job.
Vendors, and then there's surfing clubs, there's yoga. It's getting crazy. And the beach venues as well. I think that service is needed. Hustling them on the beach. That's stacks of chairs on the beach. We don't want that.
Selling shells that they picked.
But I think that you really should check, because just like Dr. Roberts says, I'm getting all kinds of complaints. Because they're going down there and setting up 3 buildings down with these big awning tents and chairs.
I saw.
And people are like, we didn't ask for this. When did this come in? Blah, blah, blah. So where it is, I think, becomes strategic, where that's allowed. Okay, I'm really through now.
Mayor Pro Tem anymore on
No, sir.
reports? Councilmember Davis, sorry.
I was gonna say, I was in the meeting last night with the COSPs, whatever, city, and I'm proud of Don for getting his award last night. So it was very good for the city, too.
Councilmember Willis?
I attended the Space Coast TPO governing board meeting last week, and we went over the transportation improvement program in the 5-year plan. And in the 5-year plan, the redoing of A1A was not present. It has been pushed out due to budget cuts with FDOT. They've had so many. They're still doing right-of-way purchase and some minor construction, but the major part of the redo has been pushed out. So that's beyond anybody's control if FDOT's cutting the budgets and moving it back.
Thank you for that
And
update.
attended the Space Coast League of Cities meeting last night, and it was very informative, and enjoyed it, and appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. I do not have any reports other than my appreciation for all. So thank you all for sticking through, in the community for staying here with us and helping us in your wisdom and knowledge. It's always valued. And I think we have to take those issues head on. So we've got the meeting scheduled. We've made progress. There's some wonderful things happening in the city. Got new city team members and employees, fulfilling some vacancies. Very excited about that. And I'm confident we're going to find a way, the right path forward. So with that, unless our Brevard County Sheriff's Office, any reports, anything we need to know?
We'll address department issues as we, observe them and whatnot. So if you see something like that, just give us a shout.
Thank you. I did see a dog off of a leash and deputies responded very quickly, and of course, and it was a big dog off a leash running. And this dog was very well trained, but there was some people walking, and I didn't know at the time how well trained that dog was, but he was running. And I made a promise that if I ever saw that after learning about the woman, Mary, that I would call on Big Dog. And he had already packed up by the time, and he was heading out. But it was about 3 minutes, which is very fast. They were there to respond. But it's the chase. They move so fast, it's really hard. But a big thanks to that. City attorney, anything? Interim city manager? Nope. City clerk's office? Well,